Hello and welcome to Timm's BMW Repairs and Information. Well, I've had a valve cover oil leak. Yeah, it makes a bit of a mess. The oil drips out here, gets on the timing cover and then gets all dirty and ends up looking black. Now, I've noticed this when I was doing the last video about the camshaft sensor, so I thought I'd do something about it straight away. That was about 3 weeks ago and the fix has worked really successfully, so I'm quite happy to show you it now. Now, the problem with the valve covers is they have rubber buffers and a big gasket, and the usual fix is to pull the cover off, replace the gasket, replace the rubber buffers. Oh, and don't forget the RTV at the back on the half moon shape. Did that on my M60. Yeah, it was all right, not too bad of a job, bit fiddly, but I thought I'd come up with a completely different plan that's going to take just a few minutes to fix rather than spending a few hours doing it. Now, it's exactly the same fix as I did on the inlet manifold, which I did about 10 years ago, and that's proved 100% reliable, and it's helped a lot of people out as well. Very glad with that fix. So we're going to use a very similar routine, and so all you need is a bag of washers, and I'll put up where you get them. Small socket set, and it's very important to use a small socket set. These fixings can be brittle, and you don't want to put too much pressure on them. Loctite 222, and that's all you need. Right, I'm going to bring you in, let's get on with it. Right, let's have a look where the problem is. Right, here's one of the fixings. That is a blind nut, not a bolt, and that confuses quite a few people. They're generally not tight, they come off with a bit of a ting. Right, let's get the the blind nut out. There we go. There we go, and there you go, it's a blind nut. The thread doesn't go all the way through, it's got a hex top. Underneath that is a compression piece, which is a little rubbery gaskety thing. There we go. That's what one looks like. And there's the stud there. Now, the thing with these blind fixings is that they'll only tighten up a certain amount. So if I plop that on there and tighten it up, there you go. So that is as far as it's going to go. Try and tighten that and you're just going to snap the stud off. That's how it works. The thread goes into the blind nut and arrests its movement. Now, that was great when the engine was new and all these gaskets were lovely and rubbery, but after a few years this rubber gasket compresses, and so does the gasket, the valve cover gasket itself. Now, we could just replace the rubbery bit, but unfortunately that still doesn't give enough compression, and I'll show you where the problem is. So as we tighten back down the blind fixing, it'll reach this stud without actually compressing anything at all. So you've got no compression, absolutely nothing at all. The nut is still not compressing this rubber compression piece. So the fix is absolutely simple, same as always. We fit a washer over that. We put some Loctite 222 in the thread because we want to make sure we get the right compression on that. They could use a thinner washer, but all these rubbery bits are slightly differently worn, so it's much better to use a bigger washer and just tighten it up until you get half a turn of compression. Okay, so we'll put that back on again. There we go. Right, so that is now compressing the rubber, and we give it 1/4, 1/4, and that's all the compression we need. Right, well, it's a bit difficult to explain about blind nuts and studs and rubber compression parts, so I've done you a lovely animation. So, okay, so the bit at the bottom is the valve cover, the grey bit, then we've got a stud sticking out through the hole. Okay, so onto that goes a rubber compression piece, and then we screw the blind nut down onto it. And as you can see in this example, it doesn't form any compression at all, because the rubber gasket and the rubber buffer has lost its elasticity. Now, we could replace just the rubber buffer, but the problem is that the gasket is compressed as well, and replacing just the rubber compression piece will still not put enough compression on the gasket. So that's why we use a washer. So we fit a washer under the blind nut, screw it up again, and then we tighten it until we've got a half a turn of compression on the fixing. And that's why we use Loctite 222 to stop it coming off again. Now, Loctite 222 is not a thread locker. It's just very poor glue, but it just stops them vibrating loose. So it will come off again, and in fact I've taken loads of them off during this video to show you how it all works. Now, half a turn of compression is about right. You don't want to do any more than that, because then you'll distort this sort of rubbery bit. And when you've done quite a few of these fittings around here, that's quite enough pressure on the valve cover to allow the seal to work properly. And the proof of the pudding's in the eating, of course, and of course that valve cover, done 3 or 4 weeks ago, not a drop of oil from it. So that's excellent. Let's have a quick look at that timing chain cover. Yeah, look at that. Not a drop of oil on that at all. Yeah, that's worked really well, and that's been, well, at least 3 weeks since I've done that. So, yeah, really pleased. They've held on really well. Right, there we go then, all done. Yeah, quite a simple routine, isn't it? Something to do on a nice sunny day. Just take your time. But always important to remember, it's best not to do something and not break it than to do something and break it. So that's the reason I've been using a tiny little socket set. You just can't get that much torque on these fixings to snap the studs. And that's the problem. If you try and tighten them up too much, you're going to snap a stud. Hence the Loctite 222. And remember, keep the compression on these fittings low. There's loads of them, and combined pressure is going to stop any of the oil leaks. So yeah, don't go completely mad on it and try and tighten them up too much. I mean, that was the problem with this system here. Because they were blind nuts, people would think, oh, it's leaking a bit, I'll go around and tighten them all up. But of course they don't tighten up. It's flat on the stud already, and all you do is you snap off the stud. And you see this so often. I've seen it on all the forums. I've replaced my valve cover, and unfortunately I've snapped a couple of studs. Yeah, goodness, a lot of trouble then. So yeah, just take it easy. And if it doesn't feel like it's going to come off, well, just leave it alone. Much better to leave it alone than break it. So yeah, nice lazy job for a Sunday, and it'll stop your oil leaks. But yeah, the easiest way to clean oil off of these sort of surfaces as well is to use fresh oil on a microfiber cloth. Yeah, only for the engine, of course. Yeah, it does clean up the muck really well, and also leaves a bit of lubrication on the aluminium or probably magnesium alloy that's used for these timing covers, and it stops them going all white and speckly. Anyway, put the thumbs up if you enjoyed that. Yeah, keep the comments coming. Love the comments. Try and answer them as soon as possible, as usual. Thanks for watching. See you next time.